So you graduated in 2017, yeah?
Yes.
And from Arizona State, grew up in Chula Vista, went to Otay
Hmm.
Ranch.
Yep.
Your sister somehow plays for the rival school, Arizona.
Yeah.
Take me through how you decided to go to Arizona State.
So unlike um the current or the previous culture of like recruiting super young, I was really late on my recruiting. I didn't commit till I was a junior in high school. Um, and I played for the San Diego Renegades, which is a smaller travel ball organization here in San Diego. Um, and I remember I was at Bill Barber and ASU Clint Myers was there and he watched our game and I did really well that game. And right after Mike Fox came up to me and was like, "Hey, like ASU is really interested. Would you want to take a visit?" And I was like, "Absolutely!" Like my dream was to be in the Pac-12. I actually wanted to go to UCLA since I was little, but just with like how they were recruiting and what they had, like I don't think it was in my cards to play there. So I really wanted to stay in the Pac-12. And so I was like, "Yeah, I'm super excited." And so I went on a visit there. I went to Utah, which was also newly in the Pac-12. And I don't know, as soon as I stepped onto the campus at ASU, it sounds super cliche, but I like knew that that was a spot that I needed to be in. I loved the philosophy that they taught at ASU. It was very baseball oriented, and that's kind of how my dad brought me up, is like baseball wise and just so that was a plus. And also it was like far enough away from home where I was like I had to be independent, but I was still close enough that they can come see me and I could come home if I wanted to. Um, and I fell in love with the culture that they were creating and just the way that they treated me. It was a lot like home, and I felt like it fit in perfectly. So I actually went on my visit that next week. I committed over the phone. I was all about it. And so I think that's really why it stuck out to me, was just like the family atmosphere and just like the fact that they were like really good at the time too helped, I guess.
Real good.
Yeah.
So were you able to play under the Myers, or did you? They
No.
left. I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the summer after I committed, the next year, I want to say I moved to Mike Stith with the Batbusters. And so I finished my career for travel ball with him. But the summer leading into ASU, I got a call from Coach Myers, and he just told us, "Hey, the rumors are true. We are going to Auburn. I'm so sorry that we didn't get a chance to coach you. We wish you the best." And that was the last time I've heard from him. So I came in with the brand new coaching staff, which was really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before everything happened with with
Yeah.
Auburn, I mean, still to this day, when people ask me who's who runs a good practice, and I said, I mean, still to this day, the Myers run a practice like I've never seen. So
Yeah.
efficient,
Yeah.
incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
It was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's kind of like lean into this experience, right? And your experience isn't unlike a lot of other players who commit to a coach, they end up
Hmm.
going to a different school. What do
Hmm.
you think was the most challenging part about transitioning from this thought, like you had this vision of what it was going to be like, and then I mean, kind of current to today, it gets ripped from you, or
Yeah.
there's a change that's totally out of your control. How did you deal with that, and what was that like?
I mean, it was hard. It was a lot of adversity that I was not expecting to go through my freshman year. I think that like the fact that I didn't get recruited by the coaches that I was playing under was hard because they had no idea what I could bring to the table or the potential that I could bring to the program. And I feel like I dealt with a lot of just I was really good in high school and then got to college with a lot of other really good athletes. But I think the fact that like I didn't even get an opportunity to even see the field. And I think that was the part that was killing me, was I didn't even get a chance. I may have, even with Myers, if I would have sat the bench, but I was learning every day at practice, I think that's like a different scenario. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that it took a toll on me mentally, just because I then started doubting, am I good enough to be here? Did I make the right decision coming here? If I go somewhere else, would I be playing every day? And so I think now that I look back at it, it may have been me not being mature enough to handle the situation, but I really think that, like, it's hard when the coaches don't know who you are and what you could bring. And so every day I would work hard at practice. I was doing everything that I thought in my eyes could deserve an opportunity to see the field, but that was just not in the plans. Um, and so my exit interview, I remember asking what I could do to be better. And I did not get the answer that I really wanted to hear. But I went back home, and that's when I didn't practice. I didn't want to play softball. I wanted to quit. Like, I wanted to just quit cold turkey. And my dad was like, and this was mid-season where I wanted to quit. We were during pack season. And my dad's like, we don't quit. We're going to finish through. And then once you're done with the season, we could talk. And so I came home kind of resenting the sport, resenting playing everything. And then he asked me about the Mexican national team tryout. And that's kind of when it sparked it. But during that moment, it was really hard for me to overcome just like feeling like I wasn't good enough to be there and not feeling appreciated by the coaching staff.
And did that change through the course of your career, or did it stay the same?
Yeah, I mean, after my exit interview, again, I was told that, and I was told that I had to lose a little weight. And I know I did gain weight my freshman year. I think I was dealing with missing home and not playing. And so I resorted to eating food and making me feel better. But that's what they told me, instead of being like, hey, you could get better at this or this, like, you need to lose some weight. And so I literally took that really to heart. And it was hard for me to want to practice or do anything, because I felt like, oh, I'm not going to get better. This is not something that I want to do. And so when the national team came around, I played all summer with Mexico, and I fell back in love with playing. Like, I fell back in love with catching, because it's the best feeling in the world. Like, I cannot describe it to anybody, but like, I fell back in love with the game. And so when I had the choice to either transfer or go back to ASU. And I remember telling my dad, no, I feel ready. I feel like I can go in, I can earn a spot. And I feel like I've changed kind of my mental game in a way that I can do this. I could overcome this, because I really did love my school. I loved Tempe. I loved the community. I loved the fan base. It's just the first year was tough. And so I went back, and I earned a position. I earned a starting spot that my sophomore year. And I think that's just a testament to like how tough college seasons could be, but also like how resilient us as softball players could be. So I went back my sophomore year. I played my junior year, and then I got another coaching change my senior year with Coach Ford. And that was tough too, because Coach Ford's a tough cookie. She's hardcore. But it was for the best. And I think that she came in with structure, but she also came in with a lot of love. And that's something that our program had not seen in a really long time. And so she really pushed me to my max, on the field physically, but also mentally. And so I'm so grateful that she came in, and I was able to work underneath her for these past 2 years when I was getting my master's, because she's a special person. And the reason they're so successful is because of her and her tenacity to want to be great. And that's kind of what I fell in love with when I first went to ASU, was that tenacity to be great and to be the best. And so they're headed in the right direction.
I want to go back to something that you kind of touched on. You said you went back your sophomore year, and you made some changes. I want to assume that there were kind of like mental changes to your approach. What were those changes, and what was different about going into your sophomore year?
Obviously, like, I didn't want to touch a softball when I got back home, but when it got to a point where I was preparing for the tryout and then playing all summer, I and it's something that I deal with still to this day. It's like my confidence grew, and I had to play like I was the best, and I had to own the field like I was the best, and I had to do my every day like I was the best at what I did. And I think that once I got back to school, I didn't let the little things bug me anymore. And so I think I was just more mentally strong. Like I was mentally strong, mentally secure that I'm good at what I do. And I think that came from practicing honestly with my dad. I think that getting those positive reinforcements, getting positive messages put in your brain, or like little tweaks with my, you know, physical swing or my catching, it was working with him every day that kind of built that strength up mentally and prepared me for that sophomore year. And so when I went in, I was like, hey, listen, I have nothing else to lose. I can go in, either shy away from the opportunity, or I could rise to the opportunity and be mentally strong enough to handle it. And so, I mean, it was a complete 180 of what I was my freshman year. And I look back at it, and it like showed a lot of resilience on how I handled that situation.
Yeah, because I could understand why you would want to quit. When, I mean, I'm in complete disbelief. Like at your exit interview, that a
Mm-hmm.
coach has the audacity to say something to you that could ruin how you feel about yourself, how you look at
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and it had zero to do with your athletic ability.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing. Like, he was a good man outside of the sport. I think that he came in a hard situation and with a lot of pressure to be really good. And so he was dealing with his own problems and to run a program with that caliber. So again, I back then it was all his fault. It was all somebody else's fault. But I think that now I look back at it and it was like, okay, partly it was me. Maybe I could have done better with controlling, my emotions and maybe not letting myself gain that way, or maybe doing things outside of this. Maybe I wasn't playing, but practicing more, doing something different. And so not getting complacent with my role. And so it was a hard, really hard transition. And a really hard time. I am telling you, when we were in Washington, I called my dad and I was like, I can't. I literally was bawling, crying, like yelling at my dad. I want to go home. I'm flying home as soon as I get back to Arizona. And now looking at it, like I was one of the few freshmen that were able to travel. I mean, it's all about perspective. Like honestly, it's all about perspective. And like, yes, I was miserable, but like I had teammates that didn't get to travel because they weren't on the travel roster, you know? And so I got to experience things with my team. But when you're young and you're going through it, you don't look at it that way. And so there's a lot of like, it could be his fault, it could be my fault. But I think that it's just a collective. It was a bad time and I overcame that. And I think that's what I bring to my game now.
Tell me a little bit about your parents. You've talked about your dad a lot. Like, what do they
Yeah.
do? What are they like? What traits have you taken from them?
Um, okay. So my mom, I talk a lot about my dad because my dad is the one that he's been in charge of like our softball careers and just kind of prepping us for those big moments. But I think that like both my mom and my dad played. So my mom was a third baseman, and was really good, but didn't, she got a couple offers to go play in college, but my grandparents didn't let her go outside of San Diego. So she went to UCSD and got her engineering degree and didn't play ball. And then my dad obviously is from Mexico, but came when he was really young and played high school ball out here and got drafted, didn't go. So both of them had so much potential, but didn't get to live out their dreams. And so I think that like both of them are really big about us still being able to live out our dreams as long as we can and as long as we want to. Um, Everybody says that if you meet my mom, you'll know that she's my mother because we're the same person. We're very just bubbly and loud and contagious. Like we like to have a good time. We like to make sure people are well taken care of and are comfortable in situations. Um, but also my dad's very quiet around my friends, but once you get him comfortable and around us, like he's a riot. So they're both really have really infectious personalities, and they're super hardworking. And so I think that those are some traits that we've gotten from them. I mean, nothing is handed to us, and we've been told that since we were really young. And so I think that just taking that into sport or into life is a positive, to be passionate, to be energetic, and to be, vivacious and alive. I think that's really cool too. Don't get me wrong, they're strict too. They're strict, but I think that's why, we're successful. Growing up, I remember my dad was always softball, like, oh, if you didn't go 3 for 3, give me your phone. Whereas my mom was like the other side of the spectrum, like school. Oh, we need to shoot for A's. We need to shoot for the best. And then if we fall short, we're okay. You know what I mean? So it was a perfect balance. And I tell people, like, when I'd be coming home from, games, my dad would be like, you didn't do this, but you did this well. But they're the first ones to tell you good job, but also to tell you what you could do better on. And I think that I'd be coming home from games and my dad would be like, you could do this better, but you did this good, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom, it'd be quiet. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I didn't die, like, from their criticism. And then my mom would be like, well, do you remember that she, like, messed that up too? And then start, like, Brandy, because she knows the sport too,
Yeah.
And so I think they really made us better in that aspect, that, like, they were our biggest cheerleaders, but also our biggest critics. And I think that's what has made us very successful.
Tell me what it was like to grow up with your sister. Obviously, both of you are very competitive. And then ultimately how she decided to
go to the other school.
To go to the dark side.
Just growing up, like you said, it was always a competition, but we also, like, it's still a competition, but I think that, like, we've made each other better and we're each other's biggest fans. I mean, she has really, like, blossomed into, like, a really fierce competitor, but a fierce woman. And, like, to see her come back from college with these, like, new stories or new, just way to handle situations is really cool. I think that, growing up, when I was younger, my dad put a lot of importance into me playing and kind of got me to high school. And then he went back down, and then he was with my sister and he did the same thing with my sister. And now that we're both done and on our way, he's dedicating that time to my younger brother in the baseball side of it, which is a whole different animal. But he's really taken his time with each and every one of us. She played for Mike Stith as well. I played for him for, I think, 2 years, and she was with him for, I think, 6 years. So she got a lot of time in Orange County. And when it started getting to the point where she was starting to commit, she had offers from everywhere, like every big school. And competitive Sashel was like, oh, is she better than me because she has more offers from bigger schools than I did? But honestly, I was really happy because she is really talented. And so she was going on all these visits, and I kind of already went through the college realm, or was going through the college environment. And I remember they would talk to me and I'd be like, okay, well, do we like this coaching philosophy? Do we like the proximity? Like, I was thinking of all the things that I went through. And then she went on a visit to, oh no, I remember I was at Premier and I saw Coach Condrea, and just kind of talking with him a little bit. He was watching Charlize and he was talking to me about just how awesome, and just talking about baseball and, like, how much he thought of Charlize and just the way that you play the game. And I remember going to my mom that day and I told her, I was like, I was still at ASU, mind you, I should not be, like, talking to the enemy, but I went up to my mom and I was like, Charlize is going to commit to Arizona. And my mom's like, what? And I was like, she's going to go to U of A. That's the spot for her. Sure enough, a couple months later, she committed to U of A. And
Did you tell her your premonition?
After the fact, I was like, I knew it. I don't know. I just love what they are for her. I mean, world-class people. And I mean, everybody knows this about them, but they're amazing. And the way that they've brought her in like family, but also have brought us in as family too, was huge. And I just love what they're about. And so I tell people all the time, and it's funny because when I was at ASU, I was like, there's no way you're going to see me in red, white, and blue ever. Like, never. Her first fall game that I went to, I had everything red, white, and blue. Like, even my face was painted. No, I'm just kidding. But, like, I was all about it just because she's so happy there and she found her perfect match. And as an older sister that went through that process and knows how difficult it is to be a college athlete, that's the only thing I wanted for her, was to find the right spot where she would thrive as an athlete, but also as a person. And her coming home and just like seeing how she's developed and handled adversity has been really humbling and really awesome to see.
So are you also a coach to her too? Or are you trying to play more of the sister role?
We had this conversation the other day. Sometimes I tend to be a little bit of a mother figure, which I'm trying to be better about. I just want to give her all the help and just everything that I wish I would have known to her. But I try to just, my dad takes care of that. My dad's really good with the way he talks to both of us and the way he just tells us information and relays information. So I try to, like, if she asks, I'll give her the world. But I try my best not to kind of meddle and to try to give too much information, because I don't want to come off as like a know-it-all or trying to like control her. So
Has that
if she
happened in the
needs it, I'm
past?
here. Yeah, I feel like I give her advice or by telling her something, and I feel like instead of her just like going through it and handling it or like living it for herself, I just try to give her as much information. I mean, it's good relationship. It's not ever anything bad. It's just I also need to let her enjoy her youth and like do what she needs to do to learn, and that's how you learn. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have to let the mom and the parenting go. I want to make sure she's successful and happy, and so that's sometimes why I do that. Not
So,
a malicious intent.
yeah, it's all from love.
Yeah,
Tori brought up a moment when you guys were in Peru,
yeah.
when you pulled the team together and you guys had a talk. I felt like, I mean, you can clear up the story, but basically, you relayed to the coaches that we need some time apart, following the conclusion of the Peru trip. Going back in time to that moment, why did you think that was the best solution for coming off of what just happened after how you guys played and how everybody was feeling? Why did you feel like that was the best solution for the team to step away?
So the coaches come to me a lot about everything, every aspect of the game and outside of the game, and what we should do and what looks good. And that's an honor, but I also think it's a lot of pressure. And I think that in that moment, we had just came off of NPF season, which is a grind, and you're together every day. You're playing or practicing every day. And so when we went to Peru, we weren't playing Mexico softball. We weren't representing ourselves in that manner. And so the coaches came up to me multiple times and were like, you need to bring the team together. You need to do some team building. You need to do some activities where you guys need to work together. And I heard them out, and I was like, okay. And I evaluated where we were at and just kind of seeing, I mean, where everybody was at. We were cold. We were honestly exhausted from MPF season 2. We weren't playing well. The game wasn't giving us. And so I kind of like, I told the coaches, I said, listen, I don't think the best thing right now is to bring us together and to like force all of us to do something that right now we're not really in the mood to do. And I think I told them, I was like, let's finish this out. It was towards the end of the tournament, and they were on me all day, every day. And so I just told them, like, I think what's best for the team is that we just have a powwow after the game, and then that's it. Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it as a bad tournament, and let's move on. Let us go home to our people, to our families for 2 days, because then we were off to Canada the third day. I was like, let us go back
Insane
to
turnaround.
crazy, right? Let us go back home, enjoy some time with our people, and then I assure you, in Canada, we will be ready to play, and we will be Mexico softball. If not, then I will take it upon myself to bring us together and bond us and do those activities that you want us to do. And they were really receptive towards that. Like, they were like, okay, like, what, if you think that's best, that's good. So we kind of left it as just a really bad tournament. We wanted to get home. We wanted to get to our people. And I remember putting something on GroupMe heading to Canada, like, hey, listen, when we're going to Canada, this is a different team. Like, that was Mexico, whatever. This is the real Mexico team, and we need to show people. And so once we got to Canada, you could see everybody was so excited to be there. Like, we missed each other in those 2-3 days. We were ready to go. There was a little bit of pressure, but I think that was good for us. And I think that it was like we were all super excited and nervous. And so we got there, and I don't know if she mentioned, but we did we came up with one more game, one more win, one more inning. And we like bought into that. And that was our motto all week. And I think that was like a really big thing for us. We didn't put any pressure for the final game. It was for that game that we had to play that day. And it just was a testament to how we played in that tournament.
What do you think about when you think about that time apart? What was it about that was so important? Was it the recovery? Was it to like kind of let go of the game for a time? Was it? And you mentioned this too with the MPF season. You're with each other all the time, so nobody really has alone time. I mean, it could be all those things.
I think it's an accumulation of everything.
Okay.
I think it's not being together every second of the day, because even when you're not with your teammates, you're with your teammate in your where you live. I think it was not being together. I think it was kind of recovery. We weren't doing anything during those days. I think it was being with our families, like to fill our cup back up. I think it was not the stress of having to perform that day. Like, we had a good MPF season with a lot of good teams. Like, we know the caliber of softball. And so every single day it was a grind, mentally, physically, emotionally. And so for those 2-3 days that we had with our family, it was like no worries in the world. And we knew that heading into Canada, it was the tournament. And we made it a promise not to play the way we did in Peru in Canada, because that was it for us. Like, and I remember we were all kind of talking about in Canada, and I was like, for a lot of us, this is it. A lot of us, this is the last tournament we will play if we do not qualify. And so, yes, that's pressure, but that also puts into perspective for other people that maybe have a little bit more time underneath their belts to play. Like, give it all for people that may not be playing softball come September,
Yeah.
And so
it's a reality.
And I think that I've harped on this, like, our team's really good about encouraging each other, like, obviously as softball players, but as people. And I think that, like, when you have somebody that tells you, hey, listen, this might be my last tournament, if we don't kick it into full gear, people are going to respond to that. And we did. And that was really cool and really selfless of everybody, just to be like, okay, I'm going to do this for the person next to me, because maybe she's not going to have another opportunity to play.
Very cool. So
yeah.
you watched the full episode of Team Mexico.
Yes.
What'd you think?
I cried. I bawled. I watched it like twice, and I cried like a baby. I like felt those emotions. I felt everything all over again. It was amazing. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Yeah, it was a privilege to do it, and it's kind of like my duty to do it.
Awesome.
So we're living in a life of quarantine. And what are some of the things that you're doing to stay active or fresh in your mind, and then also to stay up with your training? What are some of the things that you're doing?
My parents bought a Peloton bike last year, and so I've been doing the Peloton, which I love, and that comes with an app that has like different types of workouts. And so I've been doing like the Peloton, and then the bike, and then I've been doing like body weight strength, because I don't have any of like weights or anything, but honestly, just moving your body around is a lot, like, and just doing something to move your body. It's been super rainy, so I haven't really been able to be outside hitting. We have a cage in our backyard, so that's perfect. We just go right outside, and we're still quarantined, but from 6 feet apart, front toss, you're good. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Once the weather gets better, we'll be doing that and throwing. And then just I've been reading which is nice. Sam Fisher got me into reading when I worked at camp with her earlier this year. And I've been wanting to do it. I just like, nobody ever pushed me or nobody ever like said, let's go to a bookstore and let's get a book for you, you know? And so we went to the Barnes & Noble together and she bought me a book with her discount. And I read it and I finished it recently, earlier this week. And it was like such a fulfilling moment. Like I was like, oh my God, I finished a book. Like in high school and college, I was like, oh God, I have to read. But it was like a pleasure read. Like I enjoyed doing it. And so I just started a new one. So I've been reading.
What was the book that you read? And what did
It's
you
called
like
Leaving.
about it?
It's called Leaving Time, by Jodi Picoult. And it's about a girl that hires a psychic and a private investigator to try to find her mom that's been missing for 10 years. And it's a complete, I won't ruin it here because people should read the book. And it's a wonderful, it's easy read. But the plot twist, the ending was nuts. My mind was blown. And so I texted Sam right away. I was like, thank you so much. I bought 2 more of her books. I will start them as soon as I get in from Amazon. But I've been reading and then just kind of spending time. We play a lot of board games. I mean, it's nice to have all 3 of us competitive people together because it's a blood draw. Like we're out to kill with these board games. So it's fun.
What board games?
We've been playing Pictionary Air, which is not really a board. It is a board game. Sequence. It's like a card game. What else? Categories. Just a lot of different ones. We have like a little mini Pac-Man machine, so they've been addicted to that too. So we've just been trying to like lay low. I feel like all of us have been super busy and super go. And so it's nice to kind of have all of us together and just kind of decompress a little bit.
The book that you recommended, Leaving Time, is that fiction? What genre?
Fiction.
Okay.
Fiction. It's right here, actually.
Oh, excellent.
It's the best. It's the best.
It's a big one. You should be proud of yourself.
That's what I was saying. It was over 400 pages. I was like, it was like a big, obviously qualifying for the Olympics was huge, but this is up there. I'm like, I finished a book. I mean, it's a pretty big deal.
What about Netflix? Have you been watching any Netflix, or are you taking a break?
I've realized I'm not a big binge watcher. Like I cannot sit and just watch something and just watch the thing go. Like I have to either watch 2 episodes and then get up and do something else, or watch 2 episodes and change whatever I'm watching. I just can't stick to it for that long. I started Breaking Bad last year and I'm just on season 2. So that's how bad I am.
I haven't even gotten there on that one. I could binge watch, but for some reason,
so dark for me.
I think that's probably what it is.
And I get so invested. I'm like, oh my God, I can't watch,
Yeah.
I have been watching, or I want to start on the block or on my block or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it's like top 10 on Netflix, so I might start that.
It looks pretty good. Like a good, good diverse cast, different story plot.
I'm a big rom-com girl. I actually just watched Burlesque for the first time, and
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
It's like, it's a movie about a girl she comes to LA to get a job, and she gets a job. She's like a singer dancer. She gets a job in it's not a strip club, but it's like an adult bar.
Okay.
They dance kind of. Yeah. They dance on the stage, but it's like, okay, whatever. You have to watch it. Okay. But it's Christina Aguilera. There's Cher's in there, Julianne Hough.
Okay.
I watched it for the first time and I know all the dance routines. I'm just kidding. I don't, but it's so good. You have to watch it. It's really good. Yeah. But rom-coms, yeah. I mean, I try to Netflix and chill, but it's hard. I can't chill for very long. It's probably like 2 episodes max.
Mm-hmm. I like to have Netflix on in the background while I work on my puzzle. That's
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My sister falls asleep to Netflix. I can't do that. I need silence or my waves.
Oh no, I definitely don't fall asleep to TV. It's never usually on.
Okay.
But I love a good puzzle.
What have you made? Have you made a puzzle lately?
I have. I'm working on one. It's a national parks puzzle.
Oh my God.
So
how many pieces?
It's 1,000.
Oh, that's
so I try to do like a little bit at a time. You get the edges and then you sort them out by color.
Yeah.
I have two puzzles that are really hard that after this one, I'm assuming I'll still be in quarantine. Those will be my next ones, but
Okay.
those ones are hard. One of them's like a Disney villains one, which is, I don't know why
Oh,
it's so hard.
all the pieces look the same. They're
Yeah,
all the
they're all
same
the same
color.
color.
Yeah. No, you're gonna have fun with that one. Check back in with you on
Yeah.
that.
Um,
We do the puzzles that are like we did a Chicago one, so every little piece was different, which was awesome. Like there's different segments of it, but
Great city.
we're the type that once we start it, great city, you're right. Once we start it, we have to finish it. Like we're up all night doing it. So
Um, we didn't get to talk about your favorite Mexican restaurant. I asked you about your favorite Mexican food, but you're in a really great part of California with excellent Mexican food. Do you have a favorite restaurant?
so like it's called Lolita's. It's known here in San Diego. It's good. It's not a sit down restaurant. I mean, you can sit down, but it's more like burritos and roll tacos, stuff that you could take to go. Um, what's my favorite Mexican restaurant? I mean, my mom makes really good Mexican food, so that is a plus. Especially in
What?
this quarantine, you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah. When you come home, what do you usually request her to
I
make?
Lolitas
Okay.
for the restaurant for her to make. It's called camarones rancheros. I think I told you this in
Yeah.
Puerto
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Vallarta.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's a bed of rice with shrimp, and it's like this like ranchero sauce. Oh, it's so good. And like her beans and her rice are so good. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I'm a big seafood girl, so
Okay.
like she makes some amazing dishes with seafood.
All right.
Trying to
Lolitas.
think of Lolitas. It's good.
Tori mentioned a really great taco spot in the Mexico City airport. Is she right about that place?
Oh, I don't even know the name of it.
Yeah, she didn't
I
know
know
either.
what gates it's by,
Okay, what is it
and
in case somebody rolls by there?
it's gates 18 and 19
Okay.
in I think it's Terminal 2, but it's super small. It's in between like a jewelry shop and I don't even know what else, but it's literally so small. And when we went last year, I remember talking to the owner and just kind of getting to know, and they were like, "Oh, you guys are all dressed up the same. What team?" And I'm like, "Mexico." And we got to talking. The best chilaquiles ever. I mean, actually my mom's, but these are pretty good for airport food. I was
Yeah.
like, so this time we went, I went back to that spot and I was like, "Do you remember me?" They're like,
No.
"No." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take the chilaquiles. Thank you." It's really good.
How funny. Going back to books, and it sounds like it's your love for books has been reignited.
Yeah.
Would what book would you gift to a friend? Would it be the recent one that you just talked about, or a different
Honestly,
one?
I think I think it would be I think it would be the one that I just read. I also like this one, Love Does,
Oh yeah, I have
Bob
heard.
Goff. It's an easy read. It's super short.
What about
And
for
it's just
a
like,
softball player? What book would you give
ooh,
them, or a coach?
I've read the You Are a Badass before. I like those books, don't get me wrong. The like the self-help ones, and I think it gives you good information. Actually the best self-help one I just read, it's Chop Wood, Carry Water. And I was gifted that from a coach that I went to work the camp. And it just talks about like just lessons of how to be present in the moment, like work on your craft. So honestly, if I had to gift a book to a player or to a coach, it would probably be Chop Wood, Carry Water.
All right.
That would be it.
And then you mentioned Love Does. What do you like about that book?
I don't know, it's just playful, it's fun. I think that I've been trying to also get into um, just reading the Bible and God's word a little bit more too lately. And I think that it puts it into an easy to read perspective. It's not super like dry and hard to read and hard to understand. And Bob Goff does a really good job of just explaining that like love overcomes and conquers a lot of adversity. And I think that it was an easy read. I really liked it. I haven't read the follow up one yet. I don't know where it's at, but I'm using it to keep up my iPhone. Um, I think it's Everybody Always or something like that. I don't know. But I really did like that book. And um, again, I was in Barnes and Noble not knowing what to pick up, and I stumbled upon this one and I heard really good things. So I read it and I really
Don't you
liked it.
love a bookstore browse? There's nothing like it.
It's honestly, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes. That's why I needed to take my Sam Fisher, because that girl knows that store like the back of her hand. I'm like, so what? Like, I was like, look at this shelf right here. And she's like, okay. And she's like, I was like, what sticks out to you? She's like, not those, not those, that one right there. And it was like the most simple book. And she's like, I've read it before. I was like, okay.
Yeah, she
She's a
cheated.
riot.
Yeah.
But honestly, she picked a good one, and I already picked two more books up from this author. So
Nice.
I will let you know how they go.
Okay. You've had the opportunity to travel all over the world. Top place you've traveled, or top place that, or maybe one of the places that surprised you the most, that you liked it as much as you did, and then why?
I love Japan. I love the culture. I love how beautiful it is out there. The people were so friendly to us. I really love Japan. I think that was probably one of my top favorite places to go. I loved Colombia. It was different than what I was expecting. You know, when you think Colombia, you think the drugs and the bad, but like where we were at was really nice. And just the culture, like around it was very, I felt welcomed because we're Hispanics. So that was really cool. And my very first year, I went to Amsterdam with the Mexican national team. We didn't play, we played like pickup games, but we got to do like walk the streets where like all the churches were at, the infamous red light district. We ate the food out there. So that was a really cool trip too.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Those are all the questions I have.
Awesome.
It was cool chatting with you. And
I know. Whenever you need anything, let me know.
When people can travel, we can probably talk more.
I know. I know. But I just want to again thank you so much for the video. I watched it for the first time and I was crying, and my parents and like my siblings were like, because I was on the couch and I was like crying.
Did you show them?
I did. I did show them.
Yeah, of course. It's your family.
Oh my God. Like they loved it. It like just summarized everything and kind of gave a little glimpse to like what we kind of go through. And my grandpa even made a cameo. I don't know if you knew that was my grandpa or not.
Oh, in the Mexico hat?
The Mexico hat. And then
wow.
Also, when Dallas is about to pitch and that voiceover of that man screaming, that's my grandpa.
Oh my gosh.
And
how
so
cute is that?
we were like, it was perfect. And just, we all cried. It was amazing. And it was perfect. And now I want my whole life to be documented like that. So thank you very much. I have a problem. I'm like, now I want like everything to be in slow-mo.
Yeah. Just find yourself a Simone. She'll make it happen.
I know. Yeah. Also, my mom was like, at the last part when I said the stuff in Spanish, my mom was like, did you have a script? And I was like, no, that came from the heart. And she was like, wow, that was really good. I'm like, thanks.
Wasn't that smart to do that last part in Spanish?
Oh, that was like so awesome. Anissa watched it and she texted me. She's like, bro, with crying emojis. I'm like, what's happening? And I was like, yes, are you okay? And she's like, I just watched the full video. And I was like, I cried. She's like, me too. It just like shows people like, at least to empathize with us a little bit, and just kind of, I don't know, just to give them a little taste of how awesome we are.
Not only that is, we all know that moments like that come and go. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have something like this video to document it and to capture it, it gets lost. And I think that's what makes it so special. And you watching the in-game moments and then talking on top of it, it just like all comes together. And it's like a feeling and an emotion you never want to leave. And
ever.
And it's so cool to have something like that to kind of bring you back to those moments, because what else would?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that clip of Dal, just like the one that you guys did, like the trailer for the full video that you guys posted.
Yeah.
I showed my mom that, and even just like, I know that's in the video too, but like just seeing that happen again, like chills. Like I don't think
Yeah.
I'll ever get tired of that. And
Yeah.
just like seeing even like the people behind, or seeing our family cheer the way that they did, and just like, oh God, it's like a rush of emotion. So I just wanted to thank you guys so much, because I know that you guys have a lot on your plate and you do a lot for a lot of people. So just wanted to thank you guys so much, because it came out amazing.